Hey guys, thanks for tuning us in for this third episode of Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests on this episode include actor John Ashton. And we'll also visit with actress, singer, songwriter, and social media icon Indiana Massara. We'll talk about her new single, Squeeze. If you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and of course, share with your friends. Our first guest is actor John Ashton. You probably remember him from his days as Taggart on Beverly Hills Cop. Got a brand new movie that is available on demand coming up tomorrow called Once Upon a River. First off, John, thank you so much for taking the time to be back on the show, sir.
Well, thank you, Cameron. I appreciate it. I'm very proud of the film, and I really want everybody to go see it.
now, if John, if folks haven't seen the trailers, the previews, haven't heard about the movie, obviously this is based upon the book. And tell our listeners just a little bit about what makes you so emotionally invested into the new film.
Well, I went to USC and got my degree in theater there, and I did a lot of plays before I ever got into films. And I did theater over in Europe and Scotland and Cape Cod and all over. And when I read this script, my agent sent me this script. I read it and I said, I'm in. And it read so much like a play. It was just story driven, character driven. It was all about relationships and characters, and it was just a good, solid story. And then I read the book, and I loved the book. And we shot it in Antioch, Illinois, and I worked with a bunch of young kids out of Chicago, and they were very enthusiastic, and it was such a pleasure to work with these young, talented kids and kind of get a new spark of youth in me. But even though I play an old cranky guy, but the character I just melted into the character. I just fell in love with the character and his relationship with Margot in the film. And Kennedy De La Serna, who's playing Margot, it's her first film, and she just sparkles in it. She's wonderful in it, and we had a great relationship in the film. And I hope everybody goes sees it. We've won awards all over the world on our festival tour, and so finally it's getting out there. It was on virtual theater because of the virus last year. We were going to have a regular opening at a regular theater, but because of the virus, it went to virtual theater. But now everybody's going to be able to see it on video on demand and Amazon and all those other channels. So go out and see it. I'm very proud of it, and I couldn't be prouder.
And John, this one has a little bit of everything. I mean, it's got the happy, it's got the sad, it's got the adventure, it's got all of that. And at this time, John, I mean, how important do you think it is, the story that it's got to tell of perseverance, if you will?
Well, I think it's very, very now, actually. I mean, it's about a young girl who's trying to find herself. She grew up on the river in a very, very tough, poor atmosphere, and she takes off and to go find her mother, and it's her experiences she goes through going up the river, and the people she meets, and the relationships she has, and it's just they've likened it to a modern day Huck Finn, and so it's just about, like I say, it's about characters and relationships, and I think that's what we need now. I think people are getting tired of watching stuff blow up in space movies and stuff. This is about human beings in life.
And introspection also. I know that's something we've all been doing over the last 12 months. Isn't that right, John?
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I mean, I've introspect myself to death here, so I'm waiting to go back to work so I can stop introspecting.
And how
I've got a couple.
How is the outlook on the going back to work? I mean, I know some are doing it. What's the overall environment?
Well, I was supposed to start a film last March, and of course we got shut down. But I'm getting ready to do a film called Lonesome Soldier, about a young kid with PTSD, and I play his grandfather, a Vietnam vet who helps him through his trials and tribulations. And it's a very good script, and I'm really looking forward to doing it as soon as we lift all this. And I did a film called Death in Texas right before this shutdown with Bruce Dern and Lara Flynn Boyle and Ronnie Jean Blevins, and that's going to open in the spring also. So we got that done before this started, but I'm looking forward to doing Lonesome Soldier too. So. And, of course, they keep talking about Beverly Hills Cop 4, but who knows? They've been talking about that for 15 years, so who knows?
Does that kind of talk, John, just get kind of irritating and old after a bit?
Well, I've said this before, I did a lot of theater and a lot of different character roles and stuff, but there's kind of a curse in Hollywood, if you do something so good, you'll never work again, and I try to break that, It's so tagged with the Taggart label, that, I got all these cop roles and Taggart roles, and I said, I don't want to do that. I just did that. I want to do something else, I'm a character actor, and that's why when Midnight Run, when Dorfler came along, I jumped at it, because it was so different than Taggart, and of course Smoke and Once Upon a River is different than anything else I've done on film. I mean, I've done those characters on stage, but this is my first opportunity to be able to do it on film, and I'm very, very proud of it, and I'm very glad that I did it, and I'm very anxious for people to go see me do other things other than a cop or something, so. Anyway.
And again, the new movie Once Upon a River available on DVD and digital coming up tomorrow. And John, I always want to make sure and let folks know where's the best way to pick it up. Pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah, it's going to be on Amazon and all those, and it's video on demand if you've got like Dish or DirecTV or Comcast and all those. I think you can get it on your cable provider or satellite provider or whatever, video on demand, and like I say, Amazon, and I can't remember the other ones, Voodoo or Hulu or whatever they are. So, yeah, so they'll be able to find it.
All right. Well, John, always great to visit with you. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great week, my friend.
Okay, you too.
All right, guys, our next guest on the podcast, she is on all the socials I found out this morning after doing a little research. Also got a new single we're going to talk about. And Indiana Massara, am I saying, did I get the last name even close, I guess?
You did get the last name pretty close. Massara, you're right.
Well, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to be on today. And Man Alive, how much are you looking forward to 2021 after what 2020 ended up being, right?
I'm honestly hoping for a much better 2021, but I'm trying to ease into it slowly and carefully and just make sure none of us mess anything up. But yeah, definitely looking forward to a better 2021. But honestly, my 2020 wasn't too bad besides the global pandemic. But 2020, I met some of my best friends. I released some music. I grew on social media. Yeah, I had a great time. So you take the good with the bad, obviously.
That's right. And I hope my dog doesn't make too much noise. She didn't want to be in the other room.
You're good. Mine might bark a couple of times too. So
now you talked about the social media. Do you think that the social media for you really helped you deal with what 2020 was and tried to keep upbeat and positive, if you will?
Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely gave me an outlet, something to do, something other to think about. Like when I was just trapped in my house, I met like two of my best friends because of social media and because of TikTok. And I created my own podcast with them. And yeah, so it definitely helped. loved.
Now, was music the first love for you? Was acting maybe the first love? Which, or are you kind of conflicted in that?
Well, music and acting kind of came along at the same time. I always thought, like, I did musical theater back in Australia growing up, and I never really thought of pursuing them as a career choice until I came over here just to visit my brother, and then I fell into the industry in the best way possible, and I fell in love with making music. I think I recorded my first song when I was like 14. It's about 4 years ago now. But besides then, I'd never been in the studio. I sung, but like never professionally, and I just fell in love with it. And I booked my first, what's it called? Oh, my first commercial, and went on auditions, and yeah. So they kind of came at the same time. They're kind of both equal loves.
Now, is the music easier for you? Is the acting easier for you? Which do you find to be your comfort zone?
I mean, I think they're both definitely in my comfort zone. I think music definitely has a lot more work involved in it because, you know, acting, I learn my lines, show up to set, and I become this person. So acting's always come super easily to me. Music obviously comes easy to me as well. It's just a lot more work. You know, you've got to come up with melodies, lyrics, talk to your producers about the kind of vibe you want for the song. And so it definitely is just like, it just depends, honestly. But sometimes music and like songs can come to you in like 20 minutes and you write a whole song and you're done. So it depends.
Now, what is normally the first the first thing for you with a song? Is it do you hear a vibe? Is it maybe a hook? What is it that is the opener for you?
It all comes in different ways for me, but recently it's been like producers playing me beats and I've been like, oh, I hear like these lyrics. Or normally the first step is a concept because like I love lyrics. I love telling stories. I love, you know, just putting all my emotions into songs and hoping people can relate to them. So yeah, normally concepts come first and I'm like, okay, I really want to write a song about this because this is how I'm feeling right now. And then I'll go into melodies, lyrics, storytellings, vibes, whatever, and we'll just go from there.
Now, who are your biggest musical influences? Who was the first one that you were like, I want to sing like them? Who was that person for you?
That's a really good question. Honestly, the first things that were like, I want to sing like her, I want to be like her. It was kind of like, it was like Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears. It was all that because I was like, oh my gosh, like the costumes, the glamour, the like everything. They're just having so much fun. Britney Spears was the first concert I went to. It was on our circus tour. And then, but I fell asleep halfway through. I was like 8 years old. So we're just, yeah, anyway. And then the first one that I like fully went to was just me and my mom. I went to Miley Cyrus's like Broken Hearts tour or Hearts tour or whatever. And I like saw her on stage and I was like, this is what I want to do. Like I lost my shit. So, oh, sorry about cussing. That's my bad.
It does happen. It happens from time to time. Now, how cool was it the first time you got to be on stage and see the crowd vibing to your music? I mean, especially after growing up and seeing others doing that. I mean, for you, what was that first experience like?
The first, like the most memorable, I went to Milwaukee and I performed for like one of their summer shows with Kiss FM. And I think the crowd was like 5,000 or something. And I walked out and I thought the venue was big when I was sound checking and then it filled with 5,000 people. I weirdly, before I got on stage, I was so nervous. I was like, holy crap, how can I can't do this. Like in my head, I was like literally about to back out. Then I walked on stage and it was like, I would love to relive those 4 songs again. Like I would die to go back there. It was so much fun.
No,
it was really cool. Go ahead.
What's been the best experience for you? It was the first time? Has that been the most memorable experience for you stage wise?
Yeah, I mean, they've all been amazing, but that was definitely one of the craziest. One of my favorite artists, Bryce Vine, he was performing as well. And he was in the dressing room right next to me. And as we were crossing stages, because he performed right next to me, so I came off and he was coming on. He was like, great set. And I was like, I love you. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Now, in the midst of 2020, to have work on new music, I mean, how challenging was that, and how different did you have to make things this time around?
It was definitely smaller. Normally I have like 10 people in the studio with me, just like either listening, or I have friends coming to hang out, or it's just, producers, writers, everyone. But for the most part, whenever I've worked on music in 2020, it's just been my producer and me and maybe another writer. And like, you got to go get COVID tested before you go in. And, it's definitely been worth it, because during this time has definitely been my most creative. Like, I've just needed the most creative outlet possible, but it's definitely been different. And I feel like the music has definitely taken a bit of a turn, because it's like, what are we going to talk about? Like, yeah. So.
Now, where did the new single Squeeze, where did that one come from, the inspiration, and what was the process like with it?
So basically, Squeeze I actually wrote and recorded about a year ago, and I never put it out. I don't know why. I was just like, maybe I'll put it out, maybe I won't. I don't know. And then everybody seemed to be excited for it, and I wanted to release music, and I was like, sure, I'll put it out. Squeeze honestly just comes from that time period when it's right before you get into your I don't need anyone phase in a breakup. It's like, I just want a boyfriend. Like, that's where Squeeze was written from. But it also comes from like, I love being around people. I'm very much a people person. So it was like, I just want people around me right now. And it was coming from a time when I was honestly feeling a little lonely, and I was honestly feeling like I needed somebody to squeeze and just be with. And so, yeah, that's where Squeeze came from.
Now, how, being a people person, obviously 2020 had to cut back on that. What did
not my year?
Yeah. What did 2020 and having to maybe be a little bit more introspective, what did that maybe teach you about yourself?
2020 definitely taught me that having closer friends, like fewer close friends, is way more important to me than having 20 like distant ones. I don't know. I realized that you really got to find your people. And once you find your people, like, don't let go of them and hang on to them. And they're super important. They'll get you through anything if you really need to. So that's what 2020 taught me. I mean, I do definitely miss going out and seeing people and just being with a bunch of people. But I think going into like the new year, I think I'll maybe be okay with just being with two people. You know what I mean?
Now, does change the goal setting process for you because of how slowed down things were last year?
I mean, I've tried to not let it affect my goal setting, but obviously it's definitely changed. I really wanted to tour. I wanted to travel more. I wanted to do all these things that aren't allowed right now. So I think it's not necessarily changed me working towards my goals. I think my goals have just changed. So.
The social media for you, how important is it, especially in the midst of what's going on in the world and in people's lives, to bring a little happiness, a smile, and something good in somebody's day?
I think social media has been a really, really big aspect of like helping to me. It's like been something that I can turn to, and if I'm bored, I can go on social media. If I want to just post anything I want, I can go on social media. So yeah, it's also been a connecting platform for me to like connect with the outside world and other people during this time where you can't. So social media has definitely been a huge helping hand right now.
Now, what has been maybe the most bizarre performance that you've had to do? Was it maybe a Zoom recording? I think the best one I've had so far was somebody said in the midst of all the pandemic where nobody could be close, they got in the back of a truck and just drove down Main Street and sitting in the back of the truck just so they could play.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I haven't really done any performances during COVID, but if I was to pull the weirdest performance I've ever done, period, it would probably be performing in a Dave & Buster's. So, yeah, I don't know how I came to do that. I just did.
Was it impromptu or was that booked?
No, it was booked. It was booked. I did like an hour set. God, that was long. Why did I do that? I don't know. Yeah, that's probably the weirdest performance I've ever done, honestly. But Dave & Buster's. I haven't been lucky enough to perform during COVID, like do Zoom or anything, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
There you go. Now, I know your schedule's kind of crazy like everybody else's has been, and I do appreciate the time that you've taken with us. The single coming up, also when tour dates and upcoming events. Also, I know you got a new movie to talk about a little bit. Mira and Sean. Sean's been a guest, a friend of our show for probably about the last 10 years, had him on several times. How cool is it to work with Mira and Sean on a project?
Oh my God. It was the coolest thing. I was so nervous for one because I felt like they have been on some of the most classic, like the biggest movies of in the world. And I was like, I don't know what, I was panicking my first day of set, but I had a really good talk with Sean about his daughters and just about being a teenager. And, I just seek so much advice from those that were bigger and more experienced than me. I spoke to Jim O'Hare's also on it. So he's in Parks and Rec and he's in so many amazing things. And I sat down to him and I think it was not necessarily a reality check, but he was telling me, he was like, I got to go to Palm Springs tonight. And I was like, oh, why do you have to go to Palm Springs? He goes, my tenants, they need something done. So I'm going to go down there and go do it for him. And I was like, what? The morning you're filming a movie and now you're just, I don't know. It was a really cool thing to see, but it was amazing to work on set with those people and just to learn from, the best. So I had an amazing time.
So if folks want to find out about that movie, about the single and everything else social media wise, where's the number one location?
You guys can check me out on Instagram. My ad is literally just Indiana, so you guys can go there. I'm also on Twitter under Indiana. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. Yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere. Just type in Indiana or Indiana Massara and you should find it.
Well, that is cool. And Indiana, again, thank you. I know today's schedule was a little crazy. We finally got it worked out.
A little bit. Yes, we did. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and thanks for helping me get some cool dad points as well.
Oh, I got you. Anytime you need some cool dad points, give me a call and I'll Zoom Trinity.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Indiana, thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, or anything else you'd like to know, just find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, email me, gqwithcam@gmail.com. Again, thanks so much to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with the theme music. We're going to let him play us out. Be sure and join us tomorrow. Got some more special guests on episode 4.